Time now for your forewarned weather with Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy.
Yeah, let's talk about that weather again. I cannot get over, Sarah, a lot of this video and the photos we're getting.
Alana, we've been looking at them all evening. You've been showing us them. There was a lot going on today.
We had storm damage. We had the storms as they were rolling through. It was an active day with eyes to the skies. Rich sent this to us. Look at this hail coming down in Linden. He said this was the worst storm he's seen in Linden in the last 30 years. With that heavy rain, lots of hail, and those gusty winds. And how about Orem? Still cleaning up. Flooded roads. Mary catching this one. Mary, thank you for sharing it. Look at that water. She said it looked like a winter storm with the hail and the precip running down the road. That wasn't the only spot. Seth shared this one as those cars were caught with that heavy rain ponding on the roads, and a flood advisory went into effect for Utah County and Salt Lake County. This is what it looked like earlier this evening. Look at that rain and just the flooding on Main Street in Orem, and we know there's a lot of damage. This was such a mean storm. It came through. It was so mean it would have knocked you down and taken your lunch money, and I don't like that. I know that we get powerful storms, but that monsoon moisture in place coming through with a lot of precipitation. Linden picking up almost an inch, 9/10 there, 8/10 in Eagle Mountain. These are 24-hour totals. More than 3/4 of an inch in Orem, Harriman, Olympus Cove, more than half an inch, Pleasant Grove, Holiday, Heber, 4/10. So we know Davis, Weber, Salt Lake, Tooele counties, Utah County getting hit hard. Most of the high totals coming out of Utah County. Salt Lake International picked up 0.36. Hill Air Force Base got more than 1/4 of an inch. So it was widespread. A line of storms that just really came through. The hail coming down in South Jordan as the western end of the valley saw those storms first. These hail pictures. Thank you, Michelle, sharing from American Fork. Check this out. This one coming in on ABC4.com, quarter size. That's why we saw that severe storm. And you know, then the storms started to clear. We do have some rain holding on in Utah County, but this was the view over Utah Lake. I'll take it. I'll take it after an afternoon like that. I bet you will too. We haven't seen that much moisture. We saw abnormally dry conditions for July, and we've had a wetter start to August. As we look at the forewarned radar, we zoom in. There we go into Utah County, over Provo towards Linden. We still have rain out there, and then over the Uintas near Flaming Gorge, Manila, and the basin, as well as the Four Corners, still active tonight. Those storms tracking east, moving out of here. This was Salt Lake County. Thank you to John for sharing it. So we had that flood advisory in effect in Salt Lake County. This was 22nd east, 21st south. That's why the flood advisory went up. Lots of monsoon moisture that was funneled in with our southerly flow. Then we had that system on the move. It provided lift. Meanwhile, in southern Utah, clear skies. Our Black Desert Sky Cam caught partly cloudy conditions as those temperatures topped out right at average, 101. But you compare that to the 80s we saw along the Wasatch Front. When those storms hit, we dropped to the 60s and 70s. You felt that cool down. We had it happen yesterday, happened again today. Highs only in the 70s on the eastern side of the state. They didn't even warm up much. And right now, those numbers in the 60s out there, in 60s in Salt Lake, 70s in Cedar City, still 88 in St. George. Now, as we look at the high-resolution model here, it's going to clear these storms, push it out of the way. We do have some lingering moisture on deck for our Wednesday. That means an isolated storm for the Wasatch Front is possible. In the morning hours, you could see maybe a pop-up storm here or there in the Ogden Valley, but that marginal risk gets scaled back. You're going to notice that this is really for northeastern Utah, southwestern Wyoming, and a general thunderstorm threat from Cache Valley to Grand County. So with lingering moisture and the heat of the day, we could see a few storms, but we're not anticipating the severe weather we've seen for the last 2 days and what we saw today. Big picture, wide view, always like to show it. So the monsoon moisture in place, we're going to start to dry. And as we dry for the midweek, we'll start to see that dry air moving in. Already had it in St. George today. That dry air takes over. We stay dry for the close of the work week Thursday and into Friday. But the positioning of that high opens the door for an influx of monsoon moisture yet again, and storms want to return as we head into the weekend in the south and then the latter half of the weekend and into early next week in the north. We, of course, are going to keep our eye on the Pacific Northwest, but we have the chance of seeing additional storms into next week. So an active August continues. After June and July, we'll take this moisture. We are in the desert. We just would like to take it spaced out. The flooding is not fun. 89 for the high tomorrow in Salt Lake, 83 in Price, 100 in St. George. We could see a few areas pushing the low 90s. That is average in Salt Lake this time of year. the century mark in Washington County, which, speaking of, we stay dry for the next several days, and then the storms come on back. They show up Saturday and then really become isolated into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Here's the Wasatch Front. 80s turning to 90s. I think we could sneak out a few 90s even tomorrow with that warming trend. And then storms will make a comeback. We love a good comeback Sunday through Tuesday. Always keeps it interesting. What a
Wow.
day.
I was going to ask, are you tired yet?
No, this is a marathon, Sarah. Monsoon season. You just keep on going, right? Come on, sports guy. You know where I'm at.
Sweating.